What's up, guys and gals? It's time for the episode 12 review of Season 3 of Shimatsu no Valkyrie, also known as A Record of Ragnarok. This one is entitled The Sun God and the Rebellious Hero. Now, as you guys can tell, from if you watched the previous episode review, you know that I was trying to find time to just dive right into the next one because I'm definitely very far behind on catching up with this season. And I did find the time. And I do have a few small things to talk about here, but overall, the episode is as good as could be expected. Because they're not going to change anything from the manga, right? Like the fact that Leonidas is fighting in this round, to start, and we'll acknowledge that. The way they're handling the Olympian gods, where they don't seem to be Zeus's children, nor are they all related. They're not brothers and sisters in this regard. Though we'll get into a little bit of that with Apollo later, but very, very interesting there. So a little bit of lore dumping, but all these things are in the manga, and nothing has really changed. So if you didn't like the fact that Leonidas was fighting in this round, fighting against Apollo, the fact that he's wearing more of an American, gear, like the camo pants, and even if they're blue, like he's wearing literally like military gear, like modern military look, rather than his Spartan look, which he shows up with. He shows up with the helmet, he shows up with the, the big cloak, he shows up with it all. And those things that they were always going to be there. They weren't going to change that. So I'm trying to look past any of those things that are like, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I'm arranging that. I'm trying to just look at it as it is. And I forgot this fact. I'm sure it is in the manga, but I do love a few small things that take place here. Number one is that Apollo, the relationship between, if they're not going to be brothers, which I still think is kind of odd, because they still kept the whole Hades, Poseidon, Zeus are brothers sort of idea. The fact that the other 12 Olympian gods, like Hermes, because Hermes and Ares are brothers, but Apollo is not one of their brothers, because he's referring to him, no one refers to him as a brother. Zeus doesn't call him a son. They still say best friend, sort of idea, because Hermes always says, oh, brother Ares, you know what I mean? So they are definitely brothers. I'm curious what the family tree of Record of Ragnarok actually is at this point, you know what I mean? So, but I do like the relationship between Apollo and Ares regardless, because even if they are brothers or they aren't, it's still very funny because Ares can't stand Apollo and his attitude, while Apollo finds humor and just a lot of beauty, as he would put it, in the way Ares behaves. So he's like, oh, my best friend is here, you're looking awesome, look at my junk, so there's a lot to be said for Apollo as a character. I wasn't a huge fan of him in the manga, and so far he's acting just about the same way. We'll see if I get a different take by the end of these next few episodes. But the fact that after Apollo is introduced, and we have Brunhilde and Gold go to see Leonidas, as I said, this is probably in the manga, but I forgot it. I love this moment as well. The fact that she's like, oh, King Leonidas, like the one that we all thought would fight Odin, the one that we all acknowledged, He even, it's a fourth wall break, if I've ever seen one, where he's just like, nah, pass. And he's like, you're going to fight in round 9. He's like, no, I'm not. They're like, what? He goes, I'm the showrunner. I'm King Leonidas. I'm either going to be in the first round, or I'm going to be in the last fight that determines everything. I'm not fighting in no middle round. Forget it. Right? That's must be a fourth wall break of some description, because it's not even really a red herring with the idea, like subverting expectations, maybe a little bit subverting expectations, but a big portion of this does rely on Leonidas being the top dog. We assume Leonidas was going to be this cool, badass dude who was going to be like stronger, like the only ones that could take on guys like Zeus or Odin had to be Leonidas, right? The king of Sparta. And in that scene, his character meets expectations. That voice acting, that gravelly voice, sounds very much like how a old gruff Wolverine would sound to me, I'm there for that. Good voice acting choice. And in this scene, King Leonidas is backing up his stuff. He's like, oh, some, asshole pretty boy prick of a god. I'm going to crush him. Yeah, I'll crush this god for you. Like it's any other Tuesday for this guy. I'm like, all right, the attitude's there. The cockiness, the fire, the badass, the Hawaiian shirt, laying in a hammock, drinking wine, eating cheese. Let's go, man. He is man after my own heart. And I like his attitude where like, no. I fight in the last round. I'm the king. I'm the top dog here. You looked at that list back in the day, years ago when that list came out, everyone went, yeah, King Leonidas versus Odin. You all said it, so yep, no, we got to give the people what they want. Not doing this, and that's his attitude, and I'm here for it. Now, of course, Brunhilde does her thing, and tempts him into, oh, but dear King Leonidas, you're the only one who could defeat Apollo. And obviously, for whatever reason, Apollo is a bit of a sore spot for our King Leonidas. So he's like, oh, that pretty boy, well, I'm going to crush his fucking face. And so that's why we're getting Leonidas early. And the match begins. And it seems that Leonidas is just brute forcing his way. I don't think the design is bad with the modern military getup. But I still think it was a mistake to choose to give him the modern military getup. And to only give him a shield, this big-ass shield like he's Captain America. Two choices I don't agree with. I think he would have looked better in the gladiator sort of getup, and I think he should have been offered something. Now, slight spoilers, we know that the shield does have a few transformations, but I do think it would have been much cooler had he started off with something like a spear, or had he gone like more traditional Spartan with the the buckler and the whatever. He could have had a halberd, he could have had a spear, he could have even a battle axe, a sword. I think the fact that they were trying to get so far away from what people expected Leonidas to be like was a bit of a detriment. The anime does its best with what the manga gave them with that. And it's better than it was in the manga, but it's still the exact same that it was in the manga. And that's, honestly, I wasn't a huge fan, and I know a lot of people weren't a huge fan. He does look better with the voice acting and with the color in the modern military getup. The blue and the black shirt works a little bit. But yeah, definitely not. I would have expected something different, and as the fight starts, all he does is kind of talk trash while missing Apollo. He's going in with these assaults, he's going in with these attacks, he's smoking his cigars like a chimney. Once again, that's probably where I'm getting the Wolverine vibes, the gruff voice, with the cigars and stuff. Smoking a crap ton of cigars in the fight, which is that's a baller move, but he hasn't actually hit or done any damage to Apollo yet, so it's sort of like, okay, where are we going with this? Let's try to get some action happening, because Apollo doesn't seem to respect humanity at this point, similar to Zeus and Shiva, and them saying basically, oh, it's what I should expect, that you're not beautiful at all, you're almost beastly, but I mean, you're just human, so that's what I expect, sort of idea. Looking down, once again, on humanity. We've already seen that. As I already said, with Zeus. Poseidon did it to his folly. We saw it with Shiva. We see it with, we've already done that, 3 times now. 2 which changed their character. Shiva and Zeus now have more respect. Thor, to a degree. But Thor didn't respect anybody, because nobody could fight him, god or man. So he found a new love for humanity through Lu Bu, but it's a slightly different one. But that's my point, is that we've done this storyline 4 different ways, and now we're doing it again. A god who looks down on humanity and is now going to be going the distance, as we say. The Greek gods, the Hercules movie, not Heracles, Hercules, because Disney. And, yeah, you know, they're going to go the distance, Michael Bolton style. And that's going to change Apollo's opinion or something. So I'm just sitting here like, how many times are we going to do this damn story for the gods? You know, the gods have apparently only two personalities. Either they like humanity, Heracles and Buddha, or they don't like them and they either die or they learn to respect them. You know, that seems to be the two personalities we're doing for all the god fighters. And Apollo, at this point, into round 9, it's gotten a little stale, and that's probably why I don't have a huge good opinion about Apollo. The classic pretty boy fighter who thinks everything's beautiful. Oh, the words asshole and arrogant, they are not beautiful. I have read 300 manga. I know the pretty boy archetype who's like, oh, nay, everything must be gorgeous and beautiful, and I cannot touch, you know, the impure and blah, blah, blah. We've done that character 1,000 times in manga, and we've also done in this very series the god that looks down on humanity as beasts and ugly and unrefined and all this stuff. So we're going to see if maybe the pacing of the anime episodes, because now there's only 3 episodes to cover this whole fight plus the end of the season, which I assume is going to be the last half of episode 15, is going to be nothing to do with the fight. So basically they have 2.5 episodes to pace a fight that honestly took a little bit longer, to pace it in a way that might make me acknowledge the development that goes on with the characters a little bit more, a little bit better. But as I said, this is my probably least favorite round in the series, and I'm just sitting here hoping that maybe I come out of it a little bit of a better opinion on it as a whole, because the voice acting for both Apollo and Leonidas is good. And once again, the sound direction is doing a lot of heavy lifting here as well. So I'm hoping, like with the Beelzebub and Tesla fight, where the score was doing a lot of heavy lifting to elevate already good and decent scenes into great scenes, I'm hoping the same is going to happen here for round 9. So that's my opinion so far of just watching episode 12 and hitting the record button. So I'm probably forgetting a few things I wanted to talk about, but yeah, that's it. We got 3 more episodes to go in this season, and I will be looking forward to season 4, of course, because I still cover Record of Ragnarok in the manga form on the channel, and I still think it's a very good series, though sometimes I do think monthly series are series sometimes you do have to take a bit of a break from, even though you only get them once a month. Sometimes if you're not feeling it, it's best to take a step back so you're not as cynical going into each chapter, and then you catch up later. You know, and then if you read them concurrently, that's why I think the anime does a good job with this. Fights that feel like really dragged out, backstories that feel like they go on forever, obviously are compartmentalized into a season that's released with multiple episodes all in one batch. It's similar to reading week to week, month to month, or binge reading an entire section, an entire arc. You know, your opinion and your feelings are gonna change based on how you consume it. And I'm just hoping that the same thing happens here for round 9. So, but as I already said, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys back here next time for the last 3 episodes of Record of Ragnarok. Looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Sayonara.